Welcome, Poggers, to another episode of the PogState. I got you. I got you
ready.
so bad.
Intensity.
It was perfect. This is a Penta episode as well to celebrate Gideon's pentakill.
right,
on.
There were 4 pentakills.
Was it Gideon's pentakill today?
Yes, on the Pantheon.
I actually, my brain was like, no, that can't be right.
So it was Faker, it was Gideon,
Faker Gideon.
Diablo, I want to say.
Diablo got one as well, yeah, on the Jinx.
There's one more.
He glided.
There were way too many this
So
week.
bad at your job that you don't remember this.
What's the 4th one,
I'm not
Dan?
going to spoil it for you. You should know.
Wow, Dan is so aggro. That is actually on theme.
Really?
That is on theme for today's episode because we have 5 people. Dagon actually came all this way from home to be with us here today, largely because he made an FM career account, which was extraordinarily cute, wanting to engage with the Korean community. And so we thought that it was maybe a good time to go through some community responses to some of our antics. And we're going to start with how you went, Dagon. How was your experience on FM Korea?
Creating accounts, anything that
I
are
know,
in
it's
on
impossible.
Google is very hard. It's
Yeah.
very hard. But,
How many times did you have to get them to send you an SMS?
Many.
Yeah.
Many. See, like, you just know. Like,
Yeah.
you get so many different texts, and you know, I think I hit submit, but I actually hit cancel.
Yeah.
Because when I Google Translate,
Classic.
that button doesn't...
Yeah.
It's a picture, so you can't translate the picture. But text, they can translate it. But some of the episodes that I've done on another LCK podcast have been translated, and I wanted to have representation on like why we said what we said, or
We're allowed to promote the Monty Wolf Show, by the way.
oh, okay,
You know,
yeah,
so it's fine. It's
So-
now the Dagon Wolf Show. It used to be the Monty Wolf Show, which is the podcast that Wolf and Dagon now do tomorrow morning from today.
yeah.
Which would be yesterday.
Which
for
will
you
have
guys.
been a couple of days ago
Yesterday
based on
morning.
the release
Yes.
of this
Yeah.
Maybe
podcast
2.
here.
But
yesterday.
even this episode or the PogState gets translated as well,
Yeah.
and being able to just identify what the I guess interest points are of Korean fandom after living in the West for such a long time and kind of wondering and hearing about, you know, Naver at the time and then Invent at the time and now FM Korea and there are more. It's just really cool to be able to get in there and see it firsthand and then interact and change some of the opinions because people take things one way and then you get in there and you're able to have a conversation and at least you give some clarity or give the opportunity to connect and understand and be understood.
We've got some examples of you connecting and understanding. One of which is this very insightful comment, which says, bro lost.
I think it's an angry emoji.
And I think it's an angry emoji.
It was an angry emoji, but
Yeah.
so that was the first time I've created a post.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So that was the experimentation.
That was the experimentation, and it was, I was just excited to create my post and make sure it worked and tagged it under the right place and people found it. And yeah, some people found it. It was a lot of, the responses to that one were a lot of like, is this the real Dagon? And the guy that does a lot of the translation, Sweet Home Alabama, goes, doing it during bathroom breaks, I see.
yeah.
But she was right.
Yeah.
I was crying in the bathroom because the bros lost, and I wanted to share that with the fans.
And this is actually great because there's another post over here where like you're just like, hi, it's me, Dagon, hello. And then someone was like, this is the real Dagon from the LCK Global Broadcast, for real, by the way. And the other guy's like, who would impersonate him? So like, we believed you, don't worry.
Certified random Dagon.
Yeah.
Cooked you.
Yeah, it's actually so good.
But
We're all
his
getting
name
cooked
is
this
Saint
episode.
Bro, and so as long as he's a bro, it's fine.
Well, he's
I
a bro
guess.
and a saint.
Yes.
So either he's a saint fan or he's just a really,
he knew.
nice guy.
He knew I could take it.
It's fantastic. So actually, in honor of Dagon and the fact that he is going the extra mile to interact with fans, we felt like maybe all of us should do the same thing. And so Kion has tirelessly gone through, combed the internet for interactions that we may or may not have had, give us the opportunity to respond to you guys. And we have, look at this fat stack Like there are
stack.
a
A lot of
few
papers.
trees. There are a
Yeah.
few trees that went down. We're going to recycle it.
Quite
Don't you worry. It's
inspiring
absolutely
how
fine.
fat stack.
What do you
this
mean?
is.
I'm going to frame these and put them on my wall.
That is fine too. That is providing a different use for these
Yes,
once
yes,
they've had their
yes.
We'll
initial
have very
use.
different responses to this. I'm mostly just worried. Not about what I'm going to say, but what any of you are going to say.
You know, I don't feel so worried. I feel like I'm pretty conditioned for situations like this.
All right, let's get started, shall we? Exactly the type of shit I'm talking about.
Yeah. And now I don't like these aren't necessarily all in order, but if you could turn to page number number 3, that is not that's
On the
number
docket.
4. Yeah, get
Number
the next one
3.
out there, Chronicler.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
ready.
And I apologize. We do also have a slight disclaimer here. So I'll have to read this one out on behalf of the LCK and mainly G-Sun. Since you wanted to engage Digon with the fans so badly, we've prepared this PogState episode so you can address anything and everything that you want.
Nice.
Unfortunately, also a secret agent has sent me a message and has said that G-Sun will confiscate your FM career account from this point onwards.
What?
So
G-Sun doesn't
Goodbye, Digon.
mess around.
yeah.
Thank you for your
So-
service.
Oh, we're not starting at the front of these.
We're starting with, what is it?
And so we're not starting with
Doug Gorell-
the
Doug-
very beginning
Doug Gorlick?
because we're just changing up the order. There's a few extra things that we have for the end of the episode, but first we're just going to address some comments. And these like pseudo go in order, but they don't really. The first one though is an absolute banger, and this is from
so mean.
Doug Gorlick, who's like Valdes looking like Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber with that.
It's
cut
so
lamella.
true though. It's so true. I mean, I know this, but like I've tried so many different haircuts and I never feel good about it. Actually, today I was very,
Today is banging.
yeah.
Yeah.
Today
They
was a
did a
bad day.
fantastic
nailed it.
job.
Today was a bad day for this comment because
Yeah.
yeah.
They
Prove
chose
them
the
wrong.
wrong day to. Actually, they made
but
this
this
11
is-
days ago.
This is part of the reason why I want to respond, because what may be true in that singular moment
I mean, I had
might
that
not
haircut.
be true.
I had that haircut
Digger,
and
you got-
hairstyle
Something
for a
can
while.
be true, but not forever.
I had
know,
that style for a while.
I kind of want to
okay?
see
Like,
what
that
Brendan's
was.
hair looked like 11 days ago.
I mean, that's a pretty good comment. Like
Digon,
getting
you
more
also,
views, right?
I love the manic energy you have going. I think that's going to be a lot of this episode.
I'm nervous.
Also, what I love about this comment is that it can be read both in good faith and in bad faith, because it can also just be like a funny joke.
I
Right?
think it's
like,
just fun. I don't
I've-
take any offense.
no, that's-
to
I don't
it.
think-
I'm
no,
just
no,
like, yeah, no, it's
But
kind of
that's
true.
Like, because you can see a picture of Doug. Doug looks like a chill dude. I think Doug's just genuinely mean.
really
All right,
cool
guys,
beard.
we got Doug's lawyer over here.
Is that what we're setting up for? Thankfully, we have the perfect second comment to get into here, which is on FM Korea, which is this guy Snow 8. Why is Chronicler so uninterested in knowing anything about Breon?
A known bro auntie.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a little bit of a divide. There's a bit of a bro fan over here. And
yes.
Chronicler, do you want to express your thoughts on bro?
So
Yeah,
I
why
mean,
are you
it's
uninterested?
partially a meme, but I think it's also partially that I just have often thought bro isn't very good, and then people are like, no, they are good, and then often they're not.
What is
I
your
feel like-
retort?
Have we said they were good? I don't think we have.
No, I think
How
there's
many teams
been
have
a
beaten
time-
T1?
I think there have been there have been times
Only
where
the good teams.
there have been times where we have really gone in on the sarcasm, and Chronicler has just been like, no, but guys, they suck, and just wanted people
Yeah.
to know
Also,
the truth.
there,
Ends the
there,
discussion.
there have been eras of bro where I feel like this is definitely not true, but it felt like I was costing a disproportionate amount of times, and every single one of their games would last 45 minutes.
And they would always lose.
And they would always
That's 45 minutes of fun.
no,
Bro and
no, it
brew.
wasn't.
Yeah, having a good
This was
time.
also before the memes were as funny as they are now. Like, a lot of this comes from like 2021, 2022, I think, which is before the bro memes really set. I think they really hit their stride in 2023.
Before the broth spurt.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, the next one is also about me.
Yeah, the next one's about you, but this one's really kind of unhinged. Okay. It's translated from Korean once again. No, but this is Chronicler's comment, so we've got a quote from Chronicler. No, but the thing is, back then, Chovy was playing a lot of TFT during the off-season, unlike now. And now that he's not playing TFT, he's absolutely popping off. And the interpretation from this particular fan about what this means is, don't shit on TFT, don't shit on TFT, don't shit on TFT, don't shit on TFT, repeating for what feels like infinitely. All is one word in Korean as well, which is absolutely fantastic.
I do want to mention something, right? Because there was a trend during the off-season, a lot of TFT gameplay from our pros. The current trend is Arena.
Yeah.
A lot
Oh,
of our
yeah.
pros
Yeah.
have been playing Arena.
It's ruined my research.
they also-
you
they also-
can't go
It
into
has,
solo
yeah.
queue history on like OPGG and see anything because
They
it's
played
all
together.
Arena.
It's so
Yeah.
cool. There was lobbies of like pros of like 8 different teams. It was
Yep.
actually adorable.
What's the Peanut Award? Being
Oh,
able
if
to
you
win
win
with
with
Peanut?
Peanut?
Yep.
Apparently, winning in Arena with Peanut is harder than winning the LCK, so...
Well, I mean, winning the LCK seems pretty easy. They did that recently.
yeah, exactly.
Oh no.
The next one is from Reddit, from the LCK Reddit, which exists, by the way. It's not used quite as much as our League of Legends, but it's not too bad. And it just has a picture of Valdes with "Who is this?" as
Wait,
the
but who is
title of the
that?
thread. His face looks so familiar. Please help.
Oh,
It's
isn't that-
Valdes.
Isn't that
I
Lloyd?
don't
Isn't that Lloyd from
understand.
Dumb and Dumber?
Maybe that's what they were trying to say. I don't know. I mean, generally when they make comments like this, it's like, oh, he looks like some kind of actor or some other famous person, you know. But this one, I think this person is lost.
Yeah, I also
If they're in
think
the LCK Reddit and they don't know who I am, then what's going on?
maybe they knew
Obviously,
the name
it's
of the
Atlus.
show. Yeah, it's obviously
It's
me.
like, look at his Atlas right there.
You just look so like
I-
bemused.
These
as
I,
well.
these I love because like these aren't even flame. It's just like so. Like, you're in the LCK subreddit.
Say,
What the heck is this next comment? I'm just going to read this with zero context because I have zero context.
Yeah.
LCK Global guys, please offer an alternate video in which the game is reenacted with hand puppets.
That might be genuinely the best content
Yes.
idea we've
Yes.
ever.
Yes.
Like,
didn't one
you know
of you
what?
say
I've
that
already
on
done it.
Ask?
I've already done
Maybe.
it.
Somebody said that.
Rusty and I in the OPL actually did.
Rusty.
Rusty and I, we did a champ select as a kangaroo and a wombat hand puppet, and it was Kanga and Wombo, and we actually did the whole thing as hand puppets,
yeah, that sounds amazing.
and so we kneeled
But
down
what
the
I think-
entire time.
What I
and
think this
cast the
person
game.
means is that while we cast, we also act out the whole game on hand puppets. So
Yeah,
act out
that's
like
what
the
they're trying
kills
to
and
do.
the-
They're like trying to, they want to reenact the highlights with hand puppets instead.
Do we need 5 people? Sorry, I needed to figure out the math of like 2 hands per person, 10
Well,
players.
Yeah,
yeah.
so I guess
Yeah.
we'd need 5.
Well, no,
yeah.
we
have
might need
that-
more because, like, Baron, right?
No.
Yeah.
But people can. But we have 5 people every day. We have 3 deskers and 2 casters, so we
True.
actually can.
So we could do the extracurricular
All we need is
where
hand
we
cams and the
yeah.
ability to not only focus on one thing that's happening, but also do hand acting. Surely that'll be okay.
Are you
easy
saying
enough.
doing it live?
That'd
Yeah.
be hard.
Oh God, that's
We're gonna
impossible.
Need to practice.
No, it specifically says reenacted.
Yeah, so reenact. So just
so
for
we
the
can do it
highlights.
afterwards. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's possible. So we can finish casting, run down to the space,
Yeah,
and then we can be puppet actors.
we did it for Children's Day.
Yeah,
Could do it for puppets.
Sure.
I reckon that could
Sounds
work.
fun.
I don't remember doing sock
Actually,
puppets for children's.
I
Thank
could
you
read
very
out-
much,
fun.
Tom Setberg.
I could read out the next one if you want.
I reckon that would be lovely if you could. I haven't actually read it myself, but I assume there's a reason why you want to get into it.
So this comment is from Goldfish11 and says LCK Global, and then it's like a arrow saying less than
Lesser than
Korean
lesser than,
casters.
lesser than. Yeah.
These guys need to grow the up and be more responsible to what they're saying. Try being decent human beings. Are you really incapable of praising someone without dragging others down? Why can Korean casters do it, unlike you? Oh, right, because you guys, that means all of us, are bad at your job. That sucks. If you're offended by this, I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine.
Wow, I
Got
was
him.
offended by this, and therefore I have now tasted my own medicine.
Well,
I feel like a better person now.
So is this like a positive or a negative? I'm trying to judge, is this based on a fan or maybe has
Because
an
they
issue?
do want what's best for us.
Yeah.
They did seem at the end they were like, you know, you guys are bad at your job. Like, that sucks. I'd love if you were better at your job. Like, they seemed, was it like a disappointment? It's hard to tell, I think. In
It's
the
so
maybe
hard to
comment.
translate tone, is it not? You know?
I
Because
feel
a
like
lot
we
of this
can have
could
a
be
pretty-
constructive criticism.
well, you can take 2 angles, right? I think the Korean casters are obviously awesome, and we also talk them up all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe, I feel like that's valid.
Self-aware.
But I would like more comparisons, actually. I feel like comparison is a very helpful tool.
Examples are also really handy. Because I feel like none of that made any sense based on the things that we do or the intent. And actually, chronically, you and I had a conversation about intent and what's more important, the words that you say or the intention that you have for the words. And I do feel like the intention is the most important, and the words are just the vehicle for said intention.
I mean, I also have actual thoughts on this, but I feel like that's better for the summary at the end. And I feel like we're going to have a lot more of comments in this vein. So we should
What do you mean the
I mean, are
summary
we
at
going
the
to hold
end?
off?
Well,
Like,
as
are we
a-
just not going to respond?
I mean,
think
what
we
is that?
can-
I mean, we can make. Are we like gonna write out our own response? Like, I would
No.
say Goldfish 11.
Isn't
I'm
that the
sorry that you're not feeling too positive about our performance, but the Korean casters do a great job. Hopefully, we'll get better at our jobs and stay in school.
I just don't think. I really think that this is mainly directed at you two, though, because
so?
I think we're normally just really nice guys. So I'm just going to completely shirk responsibility on this
valid.
one.
That's valid.
Yeah. And Chronicler is just known. He's a known hater.
Yeah.
And we saw at the very beginning. We have proof of this. Like
Only
he's a
the
bro
so-
anti.
only one person here is known as an anti.
Yeah,
bros.
Exactly. Like
right.
this
How
guy
could you anti the
often
bros?
saying good things about the bros.
This episode is so stressful.
There's still a
We're
fat
on the
stack.
second page.
It's okay. We've got to the next. We've got to the
Can,
next page.
can I offer a realistic response, though?
If you
like
want to,
without.
Okay,
talking
maybe we
about
do
it because,
now. No, I like it.
So the thing is, because some people might not know, they don't have any perspective of how the broadcasts work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The Korean casters are on stage in front of a live audience, and they're all listening to a lot of people that are listening to them directly in the venue, right? And they have a responsibility to be extremely politically correct. Whereas on the English side, we have never had that since the old days of Tasteless and Artosis. We had that with Monty and Doa. We just had less people listening to us. Also, the Twitch chat is a very different environment from the live viewing audience of the Korean viewers in person, right? So we don't have that onus exactly, and we're giving a lot more free reign to really speak our mind, which means if a player is playing poorly, regardless of what team they're on, we're allowed to criticize them a lot and compare them to better players, if so. So the Korean commentators have to be like, oh, well, they're just not having a great day. And that doesn't mean that they're better. It just means that they're kind of restrained by stuff that we are not.
It's also the Korean commentators. Also, a lot of them are ex-pros, and they are also very aware when a player is just because they're not mentioning. Doesn't
Oh
mean
yeah,
that they
and the thing
don't
is,
know.
like, it's just a different way of providing a broadcast, right?
Yeah.
And you can compare it a lot of different ways. I think that like you say, the LCK broadcast has been influenced by our forebears the majority of the time, and there was a degree of honesty that's existed within the LCK for an extremely long time. And I think it's also an understanding of the fact that, like you say, the audience that we're delivering our product to is not in an arena.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be said for the LCK as well. It's actually really interesting, right? Because there's 200 people that are in LoL Park, but there are thousands upon thousands that are watching online. So theoretically, the Korean broadcast is also broadcasted that way, but there is an example of a response that exists on the Korean broadcast. Whereas we are pretty much just delivering to one person in their bedroom watching on their computer.
Yeah. Also, sorry, Digon. If we casted like the Korean cast did, and this is nothing against the Korean cast, people would just call us boring and fake and awful, and we'd probably get fired because that's not what people expect on the global side. They expect us to make jokes and to be crude at times and to laugh at
to talk about nothing.
to
for
talk about
15
nothing
minutes.
and to talk about Pokemon and it's just not as serious. So if you're watching the Korean broadcast for a very long time and then you watch us, it's like, what the why are these guys on my favorite player like this? It can be somewhat
And I don't think that, like,
hard to accept that.
I do want to say as well that I don't think we ever shit on a player.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
we don't,
that we
but
criticize.
they take it that way.
I'd never want to say that we've ever done that.
Or
Calling out bad play
disrespecting
and
the player.
disrespecting a player is something that we would never do.
Even the greatest players have had bad plays.
Yeah.
Right? Even the stars, the fakers, the chovies have had bad plays, and we'll call them out, but that doesn't mean that those players are bad. And you'd be laughed out of the room if you said you thought Chovy or Faker were bad players, because they're obviously not. They're fantastic. And I feel like that rule, even if a player is struggling, they're still in the LCK. Being an LCK player is such a high bar to hit in the first place. We often see players shuffled out because it's such a competitive environment. but we will criticize the play. And I think the point that everyone's making is that like there's an expectation that's been set over the history of these two broadcasts. Both broadcasts I think the Korean broadcast is fantastic. I think we'll agree.
Yeah.
Our fans hopefully think our broadcast is fantastic. A lot seem to agree, but it's like it's tailoring your broadcast to the audience, and there's an expectation of how it is. And sure, if you can understand Korean, you can understand English, and you sort of enjoy one, but maybe not the other, that's completely fine. And you might find it jarring to go between and be like, why is things so different? And I think that's kind of what everyone's trying to get across is that.
And for me, it's the Korean broadcast is streamlined for Korean culture. The global broadcast spans globally multiple different cultures and different cultures of how they accept criticism, how they accept entertainment, how they accept broadcasts. And so we hit a wider spectrum of things. So some days it is like, hey, we're locked in, it's all competitive, we're on topic. Some days it's not that. And that's okay because we hit a wider range of an audience. And that's why some days this is true one day and some days it's not. And that's okay.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting because Dan brings up a really good point of the fact that our broadcasts are very different, and if you understand both, it's a very interesting experience. I was at a gym back when I used to live in a different place, but I had this little gym that I went to, and there was only ever like 4 people there. It was mainly like a PT gym. And I went in, and one day my trainer comes up to me and just says, like, one of my other students, I guess you'd probably say, is it students when you're doing PT? Clients, yeah. One of my other clients wants to talk to me, and this girl comes up and just says, I want to say thanks for the LCK broadcast in English. I speak both languages, and I don't like the screamy nature of the Korean broadcast because they do a lot of yelling over each other. It carries hype really well, but it is a little bit less easy to understand. She watches a lot from home, and she helps keep her English up to snuff by listening to our broadcast because she's a huge LOL fan, and just said thanks for the English broadcast existing, and it was really, really cute. So like,
cute. I just wish that when it comes to, because we often get called biased, but for most of us, it's very obvious where the bias is, and I feel like we rarely get called out for that.
Do you know what the
The
best
actual
part is?
biases that we continuously express all the time.
Yeah, very blatantly. And this is the best part, because anyone who complains about casters being biased are actually complaining about casters not being biased.
Yep.
For their
Every
players.
single
Except
time.
I've never had anyone at me and be like, Chronicle, let's be real. You care more about DK, because I wouldn't be able to lie. Like, yep,
Yep,
and it
that's true.
sucks. It's horrible. I hate it.
I do have people call me out for Beryl all the time, though.
Well, also you did.
Wait, you're biased towards Beryl? I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
crazy.
This is
Whoa.
new
Never heard of that
information to
before.
all of us,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Flip a coin.
Yeah.
How many more comments do we have? We
All
gotta,
right, let's move on.
we gotta lock
All right,
in.
one thing I want to say about Goldfish, they have a very cute profile pic.
It's a cute
I
cat,
love
right?
the cat.
Yeah,
cute
I'm not
that's
cat.
sure
very
about
cute
the
cat.
explosion,
Big fan.
but
Yeah.
I like the cat.
Okay, so the next one I'm aware of because I responded to it. And it was someone commenting on the last PogState episode saying, I wonder if Atlus will continue connecting the dots with V for Vendetta, Ninja Assassin, and Sense8, etc. This is talking about the Wachowskis that wrote Speed Racer, and I only found out that they wrote Speed Racer until very recently, which is an incredible film. But the Wachowskis, of course, made The Matrix, and I didn't actually know that they wrote V for Vendetta.
I had no idea.
Which is one of my favorite films of all time. And it makes sense because it's got Hugo Weaving and he just comes back.
Have you
hanging
seen,
out with
Sense8?
Lana and co.
Sense8?
I haven't watched all. I couldn't get into
it's
it.
really-
I felt like
it's a
the
really
first
weird show.
episode
But
didn't
it's
hook
cool.
me enough.
No, it's cool, but it's weird. I saw like the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And yeah, we actually see here Max Anderson 8211.
Yeah.
What is that? Can we get an identity
do you know
check?
how old?
I say,
Oh, yeah. Max,
No,
from when is that
I've got
picture?
it. So I've got it. This is from the OPL in 2013.
wow.
This is my like personal YouTube account, and I don't want to redo my algorithm with my Atlus account, which also exists.
Wait, Atlus TV. I remember when Atlus TV in 2020 posted about his super active YouTube. I remember being
Yeah.
a normal fan and being like, man, that's going to be so cool.
Look, maybe we'll resurrect it. You never know.
It'd be
And
great-
I
it'd
often
be
talk
great
about that.
If there was a
No,
comment
not like
from
Brendan Valdes
Chronicler
Yeah.
on that,
In 2020.
and they found it, that I'm hoping this is in here somewhere. That would
Did
be
not
key.
do that.
I don't know about that one. And there's another one, which is, can anyone remind me which PogState episode was the one where Atlus starts off swearing loads? I need a rewatch. And thankfully, there is a very helpful comment that just says 62 smiley face.
That
if you
was
want to
the
check out that intro,
Australian-
that
yeah,
was
the Australian intro.
the mega Australian intro,
Aw,
which
thank
is
you,
mainly expletives.
PKDG Shikamon. You're very nice.
Why did you do it that way?
It's a good question.
We just thought it was funny, I think, at
Maybe
the
you need
time.
to watch the
Yeah.
episode, right? You need to know the lore.
It-
Number
it's-
62, Degon,
Thanks
look it up.
to PKDG Shikamon.
What is this page?
For 62.
I don't know. I'm not reading it. I'm not reading until we get to it.
Oh, this is the same person as from the
Oh, yeah.
previous
Where are you
Atlas.
guys seeing Shikamon? I don't see that.
That's
That's his name.
It's the end
that was the
of
guy that
the-
responded.
Oh, I
with
see.
the-
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try and follow the pages.
Oh, I think
please,
actually,
Brendan.
I think
Oh,
I have a hard
Orc
time.
should read this one.
The top one?
The top one.
All right, please.
Any particular reason?
Chronicler's right. Don't get into needless fights on the internet, especially not with the people who decided they were mad at Nongshim instead of the LCK Cup format. LOL.
Damn. What,
I love the takes from this
yeah,
KR.
they've got like such a throwaway name, which makes it seem like a burner account, and then they have the most measured takes.
You know,
Like-
I'm just gonna say I agree with this. I also think like this comment's going into the whole narrative that people were like really upset that Nongshim got top 4, and they're like, "Oh, the format's so goofy." And the thing is, this narrative started and then ended when Nongshim actually started like performing in the later
They are,
stages
as
of
of
the
right
LCK
now,
Cup.
4th.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a goofy take, and I can understand people being like, "Hey, you know, maybe T1 should have been in the top 4," and with how close it was against HLE, sure, but like, Nongshim took Gen G to 5 games, and that was a very convincing performance, and I think people like to overreact.
Yeah, I've heard about that. And I will Tencent commented, this is the best follow-up to this. All my homies hate Chronicler for fake hyping Prince and LSP in 22.
That's my homie. We're homies.
I swear this guy like must have lost a bet or something. Like he was following your advice. Or he's like,
Yeah.
I really think that they're the best and they're gonna win. And you were saying that, and then he like put a bunch of money on it and lost. And now he's just on your
it's
ass for the
always
end of
Valdes
eternity.
against the betters, man.
It's always the betters, man. It's always the
It's
betters.
actually, that's actually the best part about, because I used to cry weekly about Liv Sandbox not winning in
He
2022.
did.
Yes.
He did. It was awkward.
Because that still hurts me to this day. I'm still very annoyed by that. So now I can cry with Prince because he's at the LCK. So it's actually really nice, because he also still cries about it. Obviously, it's been 3 years, but neither of us
Was it fake hype or was it
have been-
real hype?
Well, obviously it was real because that's kind of how it works. A team does well, and then you're like, cool, that team does well,
So-
and then
It's
when they
whether
stop
you
doing
buy
it,
in or not.
I'm just trying to understand this person's point of view. Do they think that you didn't actually believe they were good?
I actually
and
think
that
that
you're
they're being
fake hyping them?
sarcastic. I
No,
actually
I've-
think I Will Tencent is actually just like being sarcastic.
I think they're mad about me being wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
I think if you start with all
But
my
then fake
homies,
hyping
like,
is-
I
Isn't
think
even-
I just gotta say,
the right
like, I
sounds
don't want to
facetious.
rag on Chronicler, but I think being wrong as an analyst is very embarrassing. I think what you should really do is try and be correct more. If you,
the cardigan really drives it home harder. It really does.
yeah,
Speaking of which, we're going to go to the next one, which is just someone saying horrible episode.
Sure, we'll get a lot of those on this episode.
And then there's the option to translate it into Korean afterwards, which I feel is ominous. I don't know why.
I think it's just because it's probably Kion.
I know, but it's
Oh.
just
What
every time having the ability to translate to Korean, obviously underneath.
EPQ.
No.
Anyway,
Yeah,
it
this
might
will
have
get
been a
cut
horrible
anyway.
episode. I
Maybe-
hope we
look,
have
look,
improved.
Look. Maybe we were just
Here we
putting out
go.
banger after banger after banger, and then the standard was a little bit lower, and relative to how great,
Yeah.
because they didn't say the show
We don't
was
have
bad.
That's
we
true,
don't have
that's true.
context.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a 7.7
Right.
on IMDb, but everything else is like 8.5. You're like,
Exactly.
whoa.
It's the
You
Nolan
know?
That
problem.
episode
You know
must
what it
have
is?
been
It's
really
like
bad.
it's like in Breaking Bad, the Fly episode. Okay,
yeah.
little weak, great show overall.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they just thought,
Well, like-
I'm used to absolute bangers. This one dropped the ball a little.
I
Fair
love
play.
I love all of Nolan's movies, but I thought Tenet was a little bit hard to grasp. Like even after rewatching it, it's just like it's a
True.
little
you
bit
say it was
too
horrible?
complicated.
Don't lie, you love that film because it has Robert Pattinson in it.
That's true. Clocked me.
Damn. Zinged right back. And then the next comment is from a very, very
Oh, this
famous
one's nice.
commenter. And he is probably Chronicler's biggest fan, or they are. Not entirely sure on gender.
I don't
but
think it's specifically me. I think it's just any content.
Yeah, that's my homie too.
Oh, is that your homie as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like he really goes after
So-
Chronicler a lot. I'm really glad that he gets around for everyone. As this is The Light, world famous.
World famous.
The worst podcast in LOL history, which means, Digon, it's very nice. There you go.
Nice.
I actually hates Chronicler more than you.
That's
I
right.
don't know why it's directed at you.
This isn't tied to me.
Yeah, this one isn't tied to you. I feel like you've had the most issue with The Light in the past, though.
I'm going to say something.
I don't know.
Or is it Wolf? Maybe it was
think it
Wolf.
was
Maybe
Wolf.
I'm falsely tying it to
maybe
you.
maybe it is me and Wolf.
No, because this was clearly to PogState.
Maybe it was a comment on
Yeah.
yours.
Look, guys, I'm going to say something right. There's a lot of podcasts in LOL history, right? If you're not the best, you might as well be the worst, right?
Oh,
You know,
that's
Nice.
a great
Yeah.
way to think
Yeah.
about it, I think.
at least you're either number one or you're relevant if you're at the bottom. People you pronounce. This person, they follow our podcast. Maybe the other podcasts just aren't. They're not the top. They're not the bottom. They're
They're
just
very
in the mix.
dedicated to hating our
Exactly.
podcasts, right? We must have done something
You know what?
right to
Ricky
get all of
Bobby,
this
if you ain't
attention,
first,
right?
You know what?
You're last.
Thank you for the view.
Yeah.
And thank you for the comment. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you. The
They're
like.
probably subscribed like with the bell as well. They're like, I gotta
Oh,
comment right
yeah.
away. Like, I gotta tell them how they are. That's like, this is what I imagine these people are doing, you know? It must be true.
All right, speaking of which, this is a perfect segue to the next one. Bones McCoy comes up with, I'm a big Atlus fan. Thanks, Bones McCoy. But his takes are just wasting time this episode. I'm with the color casters on this fearless draft. Fun for LCK Cup, awful for Worlds. Guess who had the last laugh, you piece... Never mind. I'm not going to finish that.
No,
Piece
they're
of
an
bones.
Atlas. They're an Atlas fan.
They're an Atlas fan.
They're
But,
a big Atlas fan.
Kunkbot, immediately underneath, says, nah, you're not an Atlas fan then. Which sounds kind of true because
I
it was pretty
think
mean saying
that's
that I was
not
wasting
true,
I
though,
think,
like-
I think there's value to, even if you're a fan of someone, disagreeing with them.
Yeah.
I think that's valid.
I think it's fine to be like, nah, I didn't like his takes on this episode.
Yeah,
But,
like
but
I've-
saying that they're wasting time is mean.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh.
Like I
So
regularly,
having you can have a valid take that someone disagrees with.
Yeah.
like I regularly disagree with
They're being
Chronicler,
mean.
but I also wouldn't say I'm his fan. So
I just want to say, everyone, Oaks, when he moved to Korea, made sure he lived as close to me as possible, because otherwise he was going to miss me.
keep your friends close and your enemies close.
God,
You're
that
not
was
getting-
right in the
not getting your-
barrel. That was in the barrel.
Not getting your air
Holy.
mattress back, buddy.
so there's like more discussion about
Yeah, there is
Fearless,
actually
but
more. Yeah, so
we-
Fearless is the best way to draft, says Dominic Camera. Going back to the same old every game sucks. How would it be awful for Worlds? And I'm looking forward to this take. Haven't read it yet. Bones McCoy comes back with, you're saying you'd prefer watching Chovy versus Knight in Game 5 on their 8th best champs instead of their iconic... Read
Or
more.
be-
I know, but I
Hi.
love that it has read more because I imagine it's one of the ones where you click it and it just. I ain't reading all that.
Oh, man, I've done that.
Oaks, is that you? I feel like I've heard you have this exact take.
I think we've gotten
This is the take, though.
No, I'm not
This is
Bones
the fearless
McCoy.
take.
This
Yeah.
is not one of my alt accounts.
But
Yeah. This is actually the Fearless take that I think you and Wolf had a
Yep.
big discussion about, and Wolf represented Bones McCoy's side of the argument very effectively. I'm still just feeling personally attacked by it. So
You're just
I'm
wasting time, Atlas. Come
yeah,
on.
I'm coming in with an emotional response, but it is
okay.
actually a very valid conversation to be having. Unfortunately, I won because we're now Fearless for the rest of the year and forever times infinity. Screw you, Bones McCoy, get wrecked.
Yeah,
Okay,
He was a
Oh,
big
no.
Atlas fan.
He's- no,
Not
that-
anymore.
Never meet your heroes.
No,
This is too
Bones
much
McCoy.
conflict for
I'm
me.
actually. I think Bones McCoy understands that we're just bantering. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
As,
so this is
You know,
I need
let's-
this.
Yeah, let's.
I need
Chronicler
this.
has
Yeah.
to read
Let
this,
Chronicler read
From
this one.
USA Mamed 404. Been watching PogState and LCK religiously for a few years. Now love you guys so much. Keep up the great work with a heart. Thank you.
That's very
Love to
nice.
hear it. That's very sweet.
Thanks, man.
That's really nice. All right. I'm
I'm a bit distracted by 3 months ago and then 2 months ago. I wonder, because the previous comments were from 2 months ago and they were antagonistic. Maybe their opinion has changed now.
It's okay because the next comment is immediately negative again.
Oh, okay, we're
So,
back.
yes.
We're back. Oh, God, here we go. Chronicler, where were you? They talked about CL players the entirety of the podcast.
So that comment is
That was when
that
you
I
weren't
love.
there. Yeah.
That is great. That I really appreciate. I'm happy
Tenshi,
that.
I feel like I recognize that name.
Whoa. Whoa.
Well, the actual comment. That's the chaser is the next
Yeah,
one.
the chaser it doesn't go down well.
I saw that he wasn't there, and I lost it in joy. him.
Then they're piling on. We better not find him in LTA.
Whoa,
Why would he be there?
Because the other Challengers players at some point
that's
moved over to
true.
LTA.
I don't see that as a negative. You know, I would hope not to find Chronicler in the LTA.
Oh, because you really like him?
Yeah, that kind of.
Caught.
Got him.
Yeah, I mean, off the grid, you can read in two ways. It's or like, oh, thank I don't want him in the LTA, or I hope he doesn't leave and goes to the LTA.
And then
It's probably
someone's
not that
asking,
one, but
filtered
Where
by
are you?
subgenre, who's the guy that died in Joy, or lost it in Joy, and this Nick Payne is asking where you're at.
Oh, he's right there.
Yeah,
We solved the problem.
I'm
Nick
confused. Are they searching for you?
I'm kind of wondering why you would watch a broadcast where you just hate people on it so much.
Oh,
I feel
actually,
like
I remember this comment. This next. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
You've heard of hate watching, right?
yeah, but why don't you?
I would never do it, but there are people that do that.
Oh, you are such a
guess.
hate watcher.
Oh, I'm not.
You're not?
No, Valdes has a baby. He just spends time with his kid instead.
Yeah, I don't really watch much anymore.
Yeah, it's way
I
better.
have limited
feel
time,
like
so
you-
now I have to spend it on things that I actually enjoy.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know?
I guess now it's not.
So I
not
kinda-
as much of a thing that you're allowed to do. Okay, this next one, who's going to read it? Let's
Is
give
that
it to
Sonny?
Valdes.
Ox,
Yeah,
because
Sonny.
he responded.
All right, Ox responded, so you can read this one.
Okay, this is from Sunny1601. I am Korean, but I love watching LCK matches in English broadcast because you guys are so fun, have great analysis, give me hype, and makes me feel like I'm watching with good friends. And then a nice smiley. The main reason you guys can do it, I think, is you guys also genuinely have fun together when you guys are casting. I love all of LCK English casters / analysts so much, and I'm always grateful to have you guys in LCK. I hope you guys keep up the good work for a long, long time. Brackets, maybe until the last day of LCK, close brackets. Thank you guys for always giving us hype and fun casting and analysis. Happy New Year. That is so sweet.
And this is a perfect example because Orcs responded with thank you for the support. So anyone that says that Orcs is only saying negative things on the internet is wrong. Because he also hears you when you say the nice things.
That's really
He
sweet.
just is the most
He's just
terminally
always
online
there.
person
It always-
I've ever seen.
It kind of echoes what we were saying earlier, but I think that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to be on the LCK way back, why I loved watching it, is because it feels very low. It kind of as the same feels co-streams, right? Like it's a lot more laid back, which I think is cute.
Yeah.
That person picks up on
You're
it.
hanging out with friends. You're able to, banter a lot, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more banter on our stream compared to others, and some people enjoy that a bit more, whereas others do not.
And it's fine. Different strokes for different folks, as they say.
Guys, do you think?
This is a really sweet comment, though.
Yeah, it was super sweet. But do you think he also includes me in there? Because it said casters and analysts, but didn't say anything about hosts.
That's
so
Egon. That's everyone.
I really.
I think they found a really creative
you're
way
part of the
to
crew.
exclude you,
Yeah.
but
No,
also
obviously they
be
mean you too.
genuinely
They
positive.
also probably hate G-Sun and Kayan and
Yeah.
Indo as well because they didn't mention them. So yeah,
That's actually a really
must
good
really
point.
not like them.
I think perhaps we should look into dig on self-esteem rather than anything else, though,
just-
based on that.
Dig-
Wanted
we
to be
also
a
have
part of
one
the positive
person with-
ones, you know.
We already have one person with low self-esteem on the team. We don't need another. Come on now.
Yeah. Wolf needs help as well. The next
I
one.
was subtweeting Wolf. I was talking about
know you
myself. No, I know you were, but the people don't know that.
Clearly talking about us.
It was obvious, Chronically. You didn't just spell it out for everyone.
Yes, I do. We're on the internet.
Clearly, yes, he does. yeah.
By the way, this next comment I don't appreciate as much because I like the name of the podcast, but they kind of have a point.
That's a good point.
You should change the name to the PogState since the Pog doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, your song J-Bong is onto something there.
Yeah, that's actually really sad. We're not going to do
Yeah.
that, though.
I played WoW, as did Max, for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I see Palm, I just think presence of mind.
Oh,
So I'm
God.
like, Palm, like, who's going to get the Palm this week, at the raid, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's
Palm
been
State. We
years-
can't do the Palm State.
It's
We
been
already have
years
enough.
since I've played WoW, and I still have that. Too,
Yeah.
so.
It's a thing. So that's why we can't rename it to the Palm State.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
There's also the fact that the PogState does actually, it means the antithesis of the lull state, which was brought up by LS when he was on the PogState back in the day. And so we do have to just have that still exist. Anyway, what's happening here?
It's a tier list from 3 months ago.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So that's Maybe that was after the episode where we did like our
Yeah, that was this was during LCK Cup, right?
yeah, must be.
Also, why is there
Where
only
you're doing the
6
rankings,
places with 10 teams?
Because they've got like teams sharing positions, so they're even,
Sorry.
sort of thing.
You know what's my funniest thing is instead of so they put currently first DK, second T1, third Genji, fourth HLE/KT, fifth KT/HLE, sixth Bros/Nongshim, and then instead of putting like last, they put surprise factor DRX.
Well, I mean, BNK isn't even mentioned.
Yeah, neither is the DN Automotive Free.
That's brutal.
They were onto something.
Where does surprise factor DRX go? Just like surprise 7th, actually, because all the other positions have been taken,
they're
and most
taken,
of them
yeah,
with
it's filled.
HLE.
I wish
And why is DK
this person
first?
was right. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I mean, in LCK Cup, they
In
actually
LCK
kind of
Cup,
were.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll
this is actually a
Because
pretty good
let's
team.
true.
not
Yeah.
forget both Humble Life and Genji were way worse.
What
And we
is
were
this
all
next
hyping up
comment?
T1.
This one's for Ian.
Ah!
There's a comment for Ian.
There we go. So Ian's not actually here at this current moment, but he will be editing this. So Ian, make sure you listen. Maybe the lights are way too white.
No, that's not what the comment was. Maybe light, way too white.
Oh, so it was a poem.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what?
that's a really good
Maybe
poem.
light or way
think-
too white.
Maybe we're too white, apart from Degon. You know, maybe like that's the problem.
Oh God, you didn't have to go there. Like maybe we could actually just have this as like a conversation about white balance on the camera. Okay.
This is white balance. I'm holding it down, y'all.
Thanks, Stegon.
It's never seen the light of day, but it's a banger.
All right.
Hey guys, I'm half Hispanic too.
Okay.
Don't leave me
Can
out.
I read this? Because this
I
was
count.
actually a comment made from my
No. The third one you're not allowed to read. Brendan has to read this one.
Okay. So this must be specifically about me
No,
because
this is me 3 months ago during the PogState episode.
I don't know
but
why
I need Brendan to read this.
I don't
please,
know
Mal.
Yeah, you
Why?
have to. Yeah.
I don't know why you guys can't see the talent in Diablo. Your takes just sound like you can't admit that you were wrong about him, or you guys just don't watch Fear X games.
How do you feel about this, Brendan?
Well, I can admit that I was wrong. I was wrong. I was the slowest on the realization that Diablo was actually good. And I said last episode, I think, I'm like, I just have this bias against him. I don't know. He just wasn't that good in CL whenever I watched. And
So could you apologize
now he's good.
to A Captain 3304?
yes.
I think I owe him an apology.
A
too.
Cathin
Yeah, you all clowned on me
3304.
because I had this take in January. You were all like,
Challengers player.
Please let Brendan say
I
his
apologize sincerely for my take that Diablo was wrong, bad. Sorry, that didn't sound very genuine, but
I also apologize.
yeah, I didn't think he was good, but now he is.
I also apologize for not retroactively changing my past opinion of a player.
all right.
Thank you, Max.
I think Degon should read
for
the
your
next comment.
sincerity.
Degon's
I want
definitely
to
going
read
to
this one.
No, I think you should. Because I'm sure there's tough times ahead, Degon. I think you need this one.
Oh my god.
Do it, Degon.
You have
right
to.
now.
You have to.
Max, don't make me do it.
You have to
do it. I mean, I can do it for you.
No,
if you
no,
want
no,
to.
no,
It'll be
no,
worse.
no.
It'll be worse. You have to do it.
Look into the camera when you do it.
Yeah.
JB Online 10 months ago said, Degon is so manly, handsome, bulgy muscles, and have the cutest smile/laugh kissy face. Welcome to the LCK.
And then do the next one.
Finally, a good comment.
That's so cute. I love seeing a wholesome
Can
comment.
I? Do you want me to do this one, and then you
I
can read
haven't
the
read it yet. I
replies?
haven't read it yet. This was kind of the one that I wanted a little bit in the Sunny one earlier, where he talked about the analysts and casters. Just, all right. I
Okay.
didn't want my own one.
This next one's great. I'm gonna read the first bit,
Are
and
we
you
gonna-
can read the responses.
Can we do it around the table?
Oh yeah, we can do it around
Since
the table.
this one's about me, I haven't read it yet.
Let's
No,
go.
Yeah,
let's
don't
go.
read it,
Let's
don't
go
read it.
clockwise. So we
I'm
start
not
with
looking
Max.
at it.
Okay.
Okay. They always ask who is Degon, but they never ask how is Degon.
Where is Degon?
Why is Degon?
What is Degon?
Is Degon Degon?
This is
From
why fucking love the internet.
Digon
man.
Esports.
Sometimes they just hit, you know?
Oh, wait, that was me.
Oh, my
I
God.
did do
That was you.
Yeah.
That was you, actually.
Wait, all of these messages? No.
Wait, is Digon Esports typing is Digon?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think
there we
we've
go.
de-gone a little too far on this one.
We've Digon off
I
the
think
edge.
Digon should read the next comment again.
Yeah.
We have discussed this on the desk before about crossing legs on the desk, which is why I just don't do it anymore. Digon sat on the right side of the couch to show off the gains. Laughing face.
What does he mean by the right side of the couch? I actually don't know.
Because I think when we're doing like the sign off, it was maybe for Worlds. Maybe it was for the Worlds Korean broadcast. And
It
then
was 10 months ago, so.
oh no, I guess it was before that.
It was
Summer.
the episode with Digon here.
So
So
in
it
a
probably was
different
just
spot.
a good angle
no,
of
no,
his
no.
bicep.
It was the episode. It was my first PogState episode. We sat on the couches and I was on the outside, so I had the most of the
Yeah.
camera. And it was like, it was so the way that the seat was looking. It was so much of my like leg thigh.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Show off them gains.
Thanks.
All right,
Thanks
now,
for
now
noticing
we've
the
got
gains.
a really good Valdes one. Oh god,
This is such a
so
Valdes
good.
comment.
This is like, oh my god.
Why are all the Valdes coming so out there?
Well, so should I read this one?
Yeah, you please.
Okay. What happened to Valdes? Did he quit or is he moved somewhere?
And the response
Was I
goes,
moved by someone somewhere?
The response goes, I'm afraid they've been phasing him out this season, which makes me sad given how much better he is than Digon.
True, yeah, I was teaching you about disking.
Wait, and then, guys, wait. The next comment said, Valdes casts more than just League, and I don't think they've ever done a PogState with more than 4 people. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, that would be crazy.
No, that
Wait
would
a
be
minute.
ridiculous. That's never going to happen. I want to know the context of this next one.
So this was
I'm
when
sad I'm
Digon
being
was
phased
welcomed.
out, though.
This is the classic.
Yeah, by the
Ox-
way, this happened,
bully
so
to build up.
therefore,
Ox-
in the past, everything else should have
Orcs
happened
should,
like
Orcs
this.
should read this one.
Yeah, you should.
I don't remember Orcs getting the same welcome. Thinking face. And then there's a response that says, doesn't deserve it, actually.
This was 10 months ago
And
as
then
well.
The initial poster replied, whoa, why? Is Digon more famous? I like Orcs. Thank you. And then
Keep reading.
someone else responded, didn't he appear on the PogState as well? And then the final response
Which,
from
by
the
the way,
person,
Here we go.
he did. You also had a welcome in the
and
PogState.
the person who responded saying I didn't deserve it says, Orcs is a fraud. It's his job, yet he doesn't know what he is saying most of the time.
True.
True.
I feel like I know what I'm saying
But that actually
all the
means
time.
you're not a fraud,
Yeah.
because that's why you're here.
But I feel like I know what I'm saying all the time. Maybe you don't understand what I'm saying, and sometimes
you
know
are
if
from the
most
north.
of the
if you're
Yeah.
struggling to keep up my accent, that's fair enough. I can't really help that.
You are
Can you say
closer to the
burning one
birthplace
time?
of the
Burning?
language.
Yeah.
Can you say eggshelly?
HLE.
Thank you.
Oh, you a hater?
He's a
Oh,
hater, yeah.
hater.
He's a hater.
Because he's Irish.
People use that against him on Twitter.
Wait, really?
Like,
Do you know who the most famous hater is, though? Rusty. Rusty is.
Oh, is he?
He's a ridiculous hater.
a double rusty
Oh,
comment.
if we rusty orcsed for a cast,
Rocks?
people would not understand H words at all.
Can Crogler say human?
Human?
What do you mean?
I didn't know. Is this a thing? It's the first I've heard of it. Apparently, is this a known meme?
It's not a
No,
no
you
meme,
just
but
don't say it right. It's not a meme.
I mean, there's no limit to funny things we can goof on.
That's the other one was
There's,
math and math.
And maths.
Yeah,
Because we say maths in Australia. And
Do you say
Americans
meth?
say math.
I say math.
Does
You
that
just-
sound like the
It
drug?
sounds like
drug.
the drug as opposed to doing mathematics.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have heard this goofy language he pretends to speak called Dutch. It's very funny.
Which actually I'm pretty sure is still just when you get drunk and start to
Nou,
make
dat vind ik echt
sounds.
niet leuk van je, Atlus. Dat je doet alsof mijn taal niet echt is.
Right?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Yeah.
See?
It's so weird.
So-
It's like nothing Atlas. That's in English.
For the,
Yeah.
for the
But it
subtitles.
also doesn't sound like a language.
So what I said is, I don't think
It's
that's very
fascinating.
nice of you. You're pretending my language isn't real.
Oh, honestly, that's kind of mean of me. I'm sorry, Chronicler.
No, you're not sorry against me. You're sorry against the other Dutch people. Let's not pretend that.
No, I'm sorry that I looked bad on the internet.
Oh my god,
That's what I'm sorry.
we have some recurring characters.
Oh, really?
Well,
Some hate watchers, perhaps?
the Grey Lady 168 has something to say to Degon.
Yeah, you know,
You know what? I
It's
just
really
wait. Can I? I've just because it
I
says.
love the commenters of the commenters that just come back
Just
to
'cause-
like try and ride their own opinions.
But just because it says the Grey Lady, it makes me think it's like Gandalf saying it, and it's like I'll read Degon, be gone.
That's the comment. Digon be gone.
Yeah. And then
please.
Rain Lai comes back once again to say please.
I remember the first time someone said that to me. It was in my physics class in 7th grade. I got the nickname Degon in 6th grade. So it was about a year before someone came with that. I was like, that's so unoriginal. But that's the one that most people go with. They go with Degon, be gone. And
I mean,
I-
it's-
So what you're
It's
saying
easy.
is that this comment is on the level of like a 7th grader. So Grey Lady, step it up.
It's very
a little
nice
bit.
of you.
Well,
So do remember the name Rhineley, the police, because
Well, they're the ones who said
Yeah,
about
they're back.
phasing out Valdes and.
oh no, they're not done.
Yeah, no, and they came up
Wait,
here
they
and
keep going.
here again.
So,
Are we gonna make
who is
Degon
this
read
about?
this?
Degon be gone?
yeah, Ryan Lee is back.
Oh, that's a different person, but they responded to the Digon be gone.
Yeah, Ryan Lee is back saying, I know he's new, but I genuinely skip every minute Degon tries to talk about actual League. It's so clear that he brings so little actual knowledge and analysis. Even when the LCK boys troll, it's always based in some knowledge. Someone should tell him also that LCS is not a real region. No offense, as an NA resident who watches mainly LCK. Please stop bringing info about LCK meta or LCS meta as if it matters.
You know, I think
What's
actually.
an LCS?
Yeah, there's a point there. The LCS is not a real region. Like it's
That is actually
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is no region called the LCS.
The response is my favorite. Can I read the next one?
yeah.
Artem just responded with, "You seem very nice and reasonable."
And note the ratio.
Yeah, that is hectic.
That's a 3Xer.
That's a 3Xer. You love to see it. We're not going to say the real numbers because they're not as high as what could have been said. The hilarious thing is Degon has been around the scene for an extraordinarily long time and knows a lot
Probably
of things.
longer than Rainlie.
Yeah, well, definitely longer than Rainlight because they don't know who he is, which means that they don't know anything
Yeah.
about that.
It's also maybe a good opportunity to talk about the fact that if you're a host, your job is not to sound smart.
all the time. There's times where I
You,
have to.
you can be. No, but what I'm saying
Degon
is your
can
job.
sound smart.
Sorry.
He can
He
sound
can,
smart.
but it's not
He
his
just,
jo-
it's
like-
not his job, yeah.
Well,
It's
yeah.
Actually, you could
Yeah.
argue that it's better if he asks questions to set
Degon
up.
needs to be able to ask intelligent questions that make
Yeah.
the other people look smart,
Of course.
but it should never really be about glorifying yourself.
Correct. I've had many conversations with other award-winning esports hosts about this exact thing. Like we consume a lot, maybe not as much as analysts, but and casters, but a lot of matches, just like the analysts and casters do. And every now and then, I do happen to pick a thing up or two. So if I do feel pretty strongly about a fact, I will say that fact. And if I want to set someone up, I will ask the question.
Like
I
your
feel
facts
like
of the
this-
week, you feel
Like my
strongly
facts
about
of the
those.
week. That's right.
I also feel like this happened relatively recently when we did had a certain take on the LCK, which has now blown up on the internet. But I actually think that you made a really good call there to try and keep us a balanced broadcast,
I'm really
which was
happy
brilliant.
that I'm just thinking about this. We're going to respond to all these people's comments, and they're going to come into this episode and respond to what we responded
I
to their
actually really
comment
hope that
with.
happens, and then
Yeah.
in the next
Green
episode
Line's
we
gonna
get
come
to
in and be like,
respond
"No,
to the response. to
That's
the
not what I
respond."
meant. For
We're
me,
basically Asmongold. We're just React Andes
I don't-
from
I-
now
I don't-
on.
I don't
I
want
like
to be
it, yeah.
compared to Asmongold.
Well, I mean, that's all he does.
So,
he just takes other content and then reacts to it.
My
right?
analysis as a very smart caster that obviously must know more than
The
Degon.
only like quadruple roller, fell analyst, and
Yeah.
fell
That's true.
host.
That's
and
true.
He's done it all.
Yes.
Where's
Because this was 10 months ago
Which is just-
when Degon just joined, and so they're just scared of something new happening.
I'm
And now
also-
they're probably a huge Degon fan.
Yeah.
I'm just glad because
Hope so.
I can't really.
Or maybe not.
To me, this comment doesn't. I can't really understand the perspective, but I'm glad we have two true American patriots to really give their perspective. You know.
I know what it's like. you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know what it's like to feel that way.
And every single response here is just them completely on this terrible take. So I think that's fantastic.
Thanks.
I
homies.
do one of the things that is always interesting to me, and this is more of a meta comment, but how people get really emotionally invested in the LCK, even though there is a really big distance. Like being a fan of something doesn't really give you like it will often give people a sense of perceived superiority if they're a fan of the best region, even though you being a fan of that region doesn't
Do anything
actually
for you at all.
do anything, doesn't mean that much about you. Besides, if you watch the LCK broadcast and PogState, you have great taste and you're awesome. That's
Honestly,
really the only thing I can say with
But
with
that,
certainty.
I think that's a
Objectively.
great thing because you have fandoms who are like, yeah, my team's so good, we win loads, we have loads of trophies, and you have bro fans who are just aura, you know?
Yeah.
Giga Chad. And what?
The best.
DN Freaks fans, honestly, shout out. Never gave up. And I would have given
They were
up.
crying in. This is filmed on the Sunday, of course, as it is, of course, a few days prior, and DNF just had their first win, and there were fans weeping in the audience after
I love
that
that.
series.
That's amazing.
It was absolutely
like that
beautiful.
makes your day. That's
Yep.
why the win was so cool.
And I think that was one of the major changes that I felt when I moved from NA, watching LCS and LTA, to here. Like, there's great fandom in NA about the LCS and LTA, but it's so different here in the LCK. It doesn't matter what rank the team is that year. You've been associated with that team for such a long time that the support for all 10 teams is through the roof. You couldn't say that about all 10 teams in the LCS at various points, and now there's 8 teams. Like, you just can't say that. DNF has had fans week in and week out. The Nongshim, BNK, Fearx, we're not just talking about D+, and T1, and Hanwha, and Genji. It is so cool to see that.
They're
Yeah.
still KT fans, despite everything.
Yeah, I feel like as far as Western fandoms are concerned, there are only a few that are very dedicated to specific teams. There's a lot of Western fans, I think, that are like they have a few teams that they hold on to. You know,
Like
and
I
it's-
was the same way. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, okay, these are the 3, I would say 4, but 3 teams that we're supporting when we go to international. That is how it always was, because you liked everyone. Maybe you had one team or a player that you really, really
Yeah.
liked. Like, I was a huge CLG fan. I loved CLG. And when they went, it was great. But if they didn't go, I still supported, like, all right, you win again, TSM. Hopefully this time you don't let us down. And that's what you do. But
And
here,
then they did?
And then they did. But then here at the LCK, like, I'm bro taxing every day. And I'll support Berserker because he was, in NA and we got to know each other. But, other than that, it's like, okay, after that, once we get to internationals, because I'm part of the LCK and I came from the LCS kind of background, I will support whichever teams go to the international. I want them to succeed and find success and all that good stuff and what's best for them. But during the league, it's like, okay, I will do my job as a professional, but as a fan, I'm going to support Bro because that is the team that chose me. I chose it, and hopefully that's how it goes.
I also think that my personal opinion, because there's been a lot of talk recently about bias in casters and people in the broadcast and
Really?
stuff.
It's
Some
weird.
of
I haven't heard that.
some of the best content I feel like we've had have been like the Degon face cams, and they just don't exist if we don't have any bias in our casters. Like, you're never gonna get a broadcast team who don't have any bias at all. And as long as you're representing the teams all fairly, I think it's good. It's like, you have like Law on the LEC, and she obviously leans towards like the Casey fandom because she has a big connection to that. That's cool.
And-
like that
and
stuff's
she's a
all cool.
KT
And a KT fan.
Yeah.
And that as well when we had it over here on the LCK. Like, that stuff is all cool, and we should like. And it's just so funny when fans are like, "Oh, you're so biased," and it's like, I mean, I don't think anything's that biased, but like, bias is how you have interesting discussion. As long as you're not being unfair to teams as a result of it, then, I think it's a more interesting broadcast as a result.
Yeah, and like a lot of people don't understand that you can have an opinion about something but still be able to convey what's happening on a screen without that influencing what you're saying. So, like, for example, I love Beryl, but I commentate that guy inting all the time. It doesn't bother me. Mainly because I don't think, like, even Beryl cares about the outcome of a regular season match, obviously, by his gameplay. And so, like, I don't think, like, being a fan and, like, having to commentate is ever even really related.
Well, it's also
Because, like, it's more you're conveying what's happening on the screen and talking about the result of actions, not talking about your feelings about something.
I think the purest form of fandom is when you can be honest about, you know what, my team sucks. I don't care. That
Well,
which is why the bro fandom is
bro fandom, yeah. Because
Yeah.
bro fans, the result of the game should not bother you
Yep.
because you're a bro fan.
Yep.
Like that,
You will
your
support them
identity
no matter
is
what.
just loving the fact that they had a go.
Yeah.
You know,
I think honestly, like a peak bro series is it goes to 3 games, all the games like 50 minutes long, they lose, but they're just vibing.
Yeah,
you know?
and then you have to do an interview with Lazy Feel afterwards on the broadcast because he it's a historic moment for him. But you know that he defeated the Bros. So I felt in that specific interview that was such
No,
a
but you
good
should be
moment.
like, good for you, man.
Yeah,
we had a great time
absolutely.
as well.
Absolutely.
And
That's
You know
what it
why?
felt
Do you know
like.
why
But
they
even as a
won?
bro fan, that's what you should be feeling.
But do you know why they won and he got that amazing moment? Because Lord Morgan is a generous Giga
Exactly. The Giga Chads just said, "No, we don't need this one."
Yad.
Chad. They were like, wouldn't it be cool if Lazy Feel got an interview on the global
Set
broadcast?
him up to look great. You know?
Exactly.
Morgan has already had his interview. He doesn't need another.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, we haven't seen Lazy Feel make top 8 at Worlds.
I love the bros.
Good God. I don't know what this next comment is. What did he say? ... Could go Jinx.
Okay, so I have this on sound since Will not here.
Okay. Oh, God. Okay.
Oh, was he
since
eating
Will not
Doritos
here,
again?
I want you guys to guess. Like
Okay,
a
so
quiz
this
show.
is... Yeah, okay. We have a soundbite. And this is what we're trying to work out what he did say.
Jinx, so they could still go Jinx Lulu in this draft.
It's Jay.
Wait,
Why did he say Lulu like that?
It just
Was that
sounded like
Lulu?
Wolf
Yeah,
saying
it's
Jinx
Jinx
Lulu.
Lulu. Yeah.
can you play it again?
Jinx,
It's
so
de-
they could still go Jinx Lulu in this draft.
It's extra funny now. Oh, no. They could still go Jinx.
How did he manage that?
That's like a flash over the wall.
Was he eating spicy Doritos again?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a spicy Doritos Wolf
Choking
again.
on peanuts.
His
or
brain was
something.
going fast. That's all. His brain was going fast.
Oh,
What did he
God.
say? Could go Jinx.
It was a very
We have
cute
the
sound.
last comments.
All right, here we go. We're jumping back on the Digon
Oh, there's a
train.
lot of main characters in this one.
Oh, it's
though.
Goldfish 11. He's back.
They're all
Okay.
back.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. They really are all back. Right at the end there.
Is
It's
this
absolutely beautiful.
Cayenne? Is this why you had asked me to come be on the first ever Penta PogState?
Yeah. Get wrecked.
Nice.
Um.
She's hiding.
oh,
So this was
I
6
love
days
it.
ago.
This was 6 days ago. This was too soon.
Oh,
I thought
God,
it, like,
was
I
6
actually
days
thought
ago.
there were
that
tons of
must be
comments about
last
me on the Lost
Sunday,
Box that I
right?
thought they were going to be the one about me being way too nice and needed to grow a spine. But I guess it didn't make the cut.
Unlucky.
Oh yeah.
You're missing out, man.
Oh God.
Feels
okay.
great.
Do you want to take this one, Digon, or do you want me to do it for you?
You do this one.
Okay.
Trying to this is metaphorical. I tried to reach a hand to Dagon and he didn't respond.
Unresponsive.
No, I was like,
I'm sorry.
This
Maybe there's 4 parts. Maybe we can each do a part. You know,
All right.
All right.
Brendan, we go clockwise again?
yeah, let's
Okay.
do it.
Brendan, you go
starts.
first.
This Digon guy is so annoying. So many uncalled for comments. Reeks so much unprofessionalism.
Totally agree. He seems hater indeed.
I think he said something about T1 after that game T1 with win.
What? I think no. What?
Max, read your comment
Okay,
first.
sorry. Don't forget the cringy ass IAR nonsense. Any interaction is good interaction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know about that. I don't.
like
I don't
orcs
do
as
so
go
well.
off
say
king
that.
I don't do.
moment.
I don't
So
do
would
so
I.
well with some forms of interaction. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm just big on having the conversation. Like, if you want to have a take on a platform where you're allowed to have takes and conversations, I'm generally inclined, if I have the energy and the bandwidth, to have that conversation and hear the feedback. And you can have whatever opinion you want, but it just might not be valid for me to take.
No, I mean, you have to pick and choose the criticism that you want to take. And that's actually part of this job. It's kind of hilarious that they call you out for unprofessionalism, but your professionalism dictates that you should ignore that bullshit comment, which is kind of cute.
Yeah, I'm very good at that. Fortunately.
Yeah. It's handy because you get a lot of hate, Chronicler.
True.
Like
I think
a
that's
lot.
the thing, you know. I feel like I'm a professional poster, so you know.
Also, like, I just feel like objectively, if Digon was actually annoying and unprofessional, he wouldn't have been hired in the first place.
Hopefully.
when I was first hired for gigs, I also got comments like this where it was just people who didn't like the new guy, and they were like, "Oh, I don't like the change."
You were also
I don't
really
like this
bad
person.
when you first started.
That's true. I mean, generally, like you don't have the same, banter or kind of, connections with the other people on the broadcast. You might be a bit nervous. You might not be your same self, and you don't come off great at first. And maybe this person gets a bad first impression, and then it's like, well, you're just ruined for them for life because they're biased against you.
To be fair,
Sucks.
though, the other comment, he seems hater indeed. I don't know if we can argue with that,
Digon. No.
He's a bro fan.
Yeah.
A known hater.
Don't hater indeed.
Hater.
Man. Oh, man. Well,
I also, one of the things that I do think is interesting when it comes to bias and stuff, as mentioned, I think that the things we're actually very obviously biased for, like I never get hate comments, even though it's obvious I rate challenger players higher than I should because I'm emotionally attached to them because you watch them play for like a year. We also call each other out. Like if someone is actually not doing a good job of representing a team and how they perform and how they play to the point where it is detrimental to a broadcast, your co-caster would also be like,
And
"No,
actually,
that's dumb."
That is 100% our job as well. Because
Yeah.
I think the thing that bothers people the most is when their opinion of a situation isn't verbalized or
Yeah.
goes unspoken. And so being able to play devil's advocate, even if the two of you have the same opinion, being able to have someone there who will go devil's advocate regardless is actually really important to make sure that people feel heard and their opinions feel heard. And the problem is you can't get all of those across at the same time, and some opinions are just unhinged.
Yeah.
So you can't, like, we just don't have the brain capacity to go that far.
And we're
off
pretty
left
unhinged.
field,
I don't know if
know?
you watched the cast today, but
That's what a lot of our
PogState.
comments said.
yeah.
Yeah.
if you've watched the PogState, you'll know.
You'll know. And the final thing is that I also feel like we generally try to weave a cohesive story that encompasses every day, but also a 6-hour broadcast, right? So it's really easy for discussion to not be heard, for context to be lost if you tune out, go get a drink. Or don't watch, which is fair, if you only watch your own team. I think that makes sense.
Whereas we watch every single
We
team.
watch every single team, every single
every
time.
matchup that your team is playing against another team.
And that
you know?
they're playing against each other respectively.
Yeah.
It's
It's a lot to watch.
We
And
have the
that's why
burden
we
of
understand you
knowledge.
can't.
The burden of knowledge
The
is...
burden-
It's the burden of knowledge.
I was fishing for that voice.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, now read your wiki in that voice.
All right. Shall I? I mean, I can. I am
Okay,
quite
do we want to
old.
gamify this? Can we not laugh or something? Try to just read your thing without laughing at
we
all.
should
Sure, I
explain
can.
what this is and where
Yeah.
it is.
So these are wikis that have been translated off the Korean website. So which exact one is it, Kyle?
Namu.
Namu Wiki, yeah. So this is basically Wikipedia of Korea. And so we actually have Namu Wiki posts that have now been translated from Korean so that the Korean viewers and fans of the LCK know who we are. And so I am going to read this, and I haven't read this before, so this is interesting. Okay, and do I have to do it in the old man voice? Would that
No,
be
that'll
good for
take
the
too long.
broadcast?
No,
Or
it's
would it take too long?
I mean, I would love it, but I feel like you should just read it normally.
Okay. Atlus began casting esports in 2012. And before joining as an LCK global caster in 2017, worked as a commentator for the OPL and the LPL while based in Sydney. Starting with the 2017 LCK Spring Split, he joined the English broadcast team alongside Papa Smithy and Achilleos, but Achilleos is not mentioned here.
And
Although-
me, I also
You were
started
Spo
in
TV.
2017.
But you were
LCK
Spo
Spring
TV,
Split.
so I didn't join you on OGN. But actually, no, they didn't say that. So I actually joined alongside Valdes and LS. We were casting with LS at that
Yeah,
time?
but he started in 2016.
Got it. So he was there for a little bit longer. One of his signature traits as a this will be good. One of his signature traits as a caster is his enthusiasm for pentakills during matches.
He is a play-by-play caster, yes.
That's a good point. In fact, when Canyon scored the first ever pentakill by a I remember that on the LF in the LCK first ever pentakill by a jungler in LCK history, he even pleaded with the last surviving player, Fate, shouting, "Just give it to him, buddy, please!"
He needs it so
Hilariously, this is the best one. A hilariously desperate cry for the final kill.
No, I regret it. You should have read it in old man voice. That would have gone so hard.
Ruined.
His signature line is this gonna be the Penta? Man, am I ruler as the commentator? Okay.
Signature line.
Is often heard when a Fed champion is on the verge of a pentakill. If the pentakill actually happens, his voice pitch rises dramatically in excitement.
That's true.
Can
This is
confirm.
reading like fan fiction. I kind of love it.
Oh God, we should have done that. It
Everything
exists.
else was in Korean, but is this gonna be the Penta was in the English?
So that was a specifically English part of it. So that's actually fantastic. Okay. During Game 5
Oh,
between
boy.
DK and Genji, when Damwon Kia were dominating with a gold lead of over 10,000, he boldly declared... Boldly, by the way, everyone. Just want you to know that that's very definitely there. He boldly declared that he would shave his head if Genji managed to win. But when Genji pulled off the miraculous comeback, he jokingly pleaded, asking if he could take it back, his face full of regret.
I love this.
The global broadcast chat, however, was relentless. It was
Yes.
you, chat. It was you that did this. He soon earned the nickname Valdes among international fans. True to his word, he showed up at the finals with a half-shaved head, and somehow he looked even better.
Nice.
That's a lie.
That is a lie. It looked terrible.
Yeah, but the fact that that's in there is super
It's
cool.
actually very
They're
cute.
big.
I
It
love
shows
that they wrote that.
You know, they've got the respect. He's known to frequently chat with LCK analyst Pony about Honkai Star Rail. I do. I actually was talking about that today. I was like, wait, how do they know this? And then I assume Pony probably mentioned
Pony
it
definitely
on his
talks about
stream
it,
or something
yeah.
like that. But that is super cute. Anyway,
Are
I'm
all
glad
the-
that they have like the full like synopsis of the Baldus incident.
So are all the facts correct? Because usually that's the thing with the Wikipedia is like you can it's sourced. So like 2012 OPL. Were you in Sydney?
Yep. I actually, so I
2017.
moved to Sydney before even getting a job. I moved it to Sydney to be there so that when I applied for the job, I would live there and they'd be like, wow, he's local. But I grew up in Melbourne. So, so I moved in with a friend of mine and lived on the couch until I found my own place after
It's
getting
like
a
moving
job.
to LA.
Yep. Yeah.
hit it
Basically the
big.
same thing.
No.
And I got
So,
lucky.
what do we do now?
And now you read yours.
Okay. Mine is pretty straightforward. Valdes.
No.
Vadles moved to Korea. Well, it says Valdes first, so you know. Vadles moved to
Wait,
Korea
that means they
in
spelled it wrong on
2012.
purpose.
Yes. Learned Korean and began his career as a caster.
They don't know about the raffle.
They don't know my lore, clearly. In 2014, he casted the StarCraft 2 Pro League. That's true. He returned to League of Legends commentary in the 2017 LCK Spring
So they
Split.
know that you returned, that you had
They
done
do-
it prior.
They do know that. It's not mentioned here. Oh, it does. No, it says began his career as a caster. So
Yeah.
in 2012. So it must have been
Yeah, they know.
League. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, but it the way that it reads says that
Yeah.
you began your career in StarCraft.
Yeah, it kind of
You know,
does.
They don't
like,
say
right after that.
league.
In the 2017 LCK Spring Split with Spo TV Games and has since continued as a dedicated LCK play-by-play caster. He is also remembered for his legendary piano performance during the infamous 7-hour and 20-minute match, comforting global viewers watching the stream. Having spent many years in Korea, his Korean pronunciation has become quite solid.
Hey,
Quite solid.
Was
Nice.
that the one
Quite
where they had
solid.
to push back the patch? There was an LCK match, right, where they had to reset.
Yeah, that was
I
like
think
a
so.
COVID disaster
It
situation.
was a disaster.
I don't know
Yeah.
this. What happened?
I don't remember who I was
Well,
casting.
what
with.
did you
I think it
play?
was Wolf.
No, this was
Or
2020,
LS?
right? I don't think me and Wolf were on
Maybe
for
it was
a
LS then.
Might have
7-hour,
been LS,
20
yeah.
match.
Played the piano?
Yeah, so we were remote and we were in our house and I had the keyboard behind me, but I was on camera and people saw the keyboard. And I think eventually, after like an hour of just sitting there talking about nothing, like we opened the chat, I guess, and somebody's like, play the piano or whatever. Or maybe I thought of it because we literally had nothing to do.
Do you play chopsticks?
No, I played 2 Xanarkand from
Did you really? Oh,
Final Fantasy
base.
X. Final Fantasy X.
Okay,
What a
he's built
great
different,
song.
He's built
Love
different.
that.
Yeah.
That is so good.
Man knows.
And people really liked it. And then I think you played the Ocarina, right?
Yeah, that's right. We did the round, and so I played the Pokemon song
Yeah.
from what is it? The second movie, Pokemon movie 2, the
Based.
Lugia's
Electric
thing.
Boogaloo.
Yeah, that's the one.
I feel like we kind of fell off. We should be doing more piano performances.
We could do a duet next time.
Damn, I guess the LSK is washed. I'm sorry, LSK Global.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's no longer times where we're like sitting at home trying to make the COVID
Yeah.
stream actually interesting.
Where my neighbor
which
was
is quite
banging on the
difficult.
wall because it went so late, and I was like screaming in the final play-by-play, and like he's like banging on the wall, and I'm like so stressed.
Oh, that was
yeah,
also
I
your
remember
previous
that.
play.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
God.
neighbor was very angry about that because he slept like right in that room, right next to where I was casting.
That makes sense.
I moved the computer out into the living room for
Why didn't you
2021.
just tell him that this
Yep.
is important, like LCK Global's
We
on
did.
right now? So
We
Didn't
sent
get
a message, and he was like, "Yeah, I also have to work tomorrow, so don't shout at
yeah, not gonna lie,
11:30."
I kind of sympathize. with
Honestly,
it.
yeah, like there's
Pretty
sympathy
tough.
there. However, he can't do anything about it. So, all right, Chronicler, take it away.
That's generally not good.
This is just you, dude.
No,
It's
I mean,
fine.
but the Take It Away Chroniclers, only said by Valdes after horrible things have happened.
Yeah.
An LSK caster from the Netherlands, he joined the broadcast team in 2021 and has been active ever since.
So active.
During
Very active.
Worlds 2021, his
got potential.
impassioned rant criticizing Genji's stubborn insistence on picking Renekton in their match against EDG deeply resonated with
How do they know
international
about that?
viewers.
Damn, that's such
I
a
guess-
specific moment
The
as
copy,
well.
the copy pasta did get kind of big.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, the Renekton the Azir. He appeared alongside Atlus as one of the LSK. How is this the? As one of the LSK representatives on the casting team for the 2024 League World Championship. Interestingly, he showed up with a mustache.
Interestingly,
A departure from his usual look on the LSK broadcast. At the previous Worlds, he surprised everyone by going blonde, and since he liked how people reacted, he wanted to try something different again this time. Atlus jokingly
not a joke.
not a joke. Threatened to shave it off while he was sleeping.
It's one
That
of
was
the
not
nicer
definitely-
things
I
I
I
feel
said
like if
about
you
it.
read the subcontext, it feels like they're kind of flaming the mustache a little bit.
Well, yeah, the mustache was horrible. It was,
Yeah,
it was
it's,
great.
it's kind of scathing the way that it's sort of written. I kind of love it.
Yeah, it's good. I'm sad. Like, I wish Challengers was mentioned.
Yeah, there's
like
a lot
they
of
missed
missing
something there.
context
And then-
in
and
all
then-
of these.
You were talking, Brandon. During that, the reason why that Genji rant is so insanely unhinged is because it was 3 a.m. because it was Worlds in,
Yeah.
I think it was Worlds in China or in Korea, but the broadcast was in it was in Iceland, so it was European time zones. So
Yeah.
I also, and my building was old, I had my mattress up to the wall, and I was afraid it was going to fall over, and it was 3 a.m., so I had to like speak very intensely but very low volume, so it just sounds completely unhinged, which it was.
It's amazing.
Yep.
To clarify, this is literally all that's written in the Namu Wiki.
Yeah, this is 100% of what's in the show.
It's like 80%.
All right, 80% of what's written
I'm
in
just,
the wiki.
I care about challengers, guys. I wish that was there.
Right.
Boy.
And this is actually perfect context. So this is like, we're not like abbreviating and getting the best bits. This is just
What's in it?
basically what's in the wiki page for each of us. So Orcs,
I
please
feel like
read your.
I have some stuff to address when I get to the end of this, but
It's all right, you
stop
can
reading
dive onto
ahead.
Twitter. It's
during
fine.
his
ahead.
pro career, his team struggled for over 2 years after its founding, failing to reach even the regional league playoffs, let alone the top tier league. So few people remember him as a player.
Oh my god!
Eventually, he parted ways with the team before the franchise era began and retired, transitioning into a casting career. He's also well known for his unusually high praise of Pleta. a
Just to
support-
note, there are no quotation marks in the text.
There should be. A support player generally considered to be mid to lower tier.
Debatable.
But this wasn't just personal bias. He consistently backed it up with votes, placing Pleta on his regular season MVP third team in spring and on his support third team in summer. He even remarked that without Pleta, DRX wouldn't have even finished 9th. When DRX paid a transfer fee to acquire Andal as a new support during the 2024 offseason, he was visibly shaken. However, when
did they
Pleta
know?
finally returned to the starting lineup in an April 2025 match that he cast alongside Atlus, he showed up with a bright smile, clearly excited for the game.
They don't say what happened after that.
No.
Yeah.
Weirdly,
That's
like
just
they
the
don't
end of the
mention
beautiful story.
what happened next to Pleta. I'm just curious.
Pleta-
No, let's not
Pleta's-
talk about that.
It's been a little rough, his
Yeah.
return.
Where did they see you visibly shaking?
It was true.
It was actually true. They must have been hiding in the
Did
walls.
Chronicler write this? Like,
Yeah, like where?
Kind of reads that way.
Where?
no, but like the thing I don't get is how they've even come to this conclusion. The first paragraph doesn't even make sense.
What do you mean?
During his pro tier, his team struggled for so the team I played in for the longest was XL, which I played in for 2 years, and they were founded before like I was part of the team. So maybe that's a translation thing. But it says failing to reach even the regional league playoffs because we were in the regional league, right? We came third, then first. Those are the 3 splits. I was third, fifth, which is obviously third is playoffs. And so is first, because first means we won.
This is what I was saying. This is why I've been asking everyone, is the information correct?
You know, I didn't
No.
make
this
the top
case.
tier league because, you know, we were in the regional leagues, so I mean, that's valid, but a few people remember him as a player. I mean, I guess if you look globally from the perspective of Europe, then yeah, but you know.
I mean, I don't know. Man.
The UK GOAT!
Also, as someone who was as someone who was actually active in the ERLs and EU Masters, I don't think he was the UK GOAT. He was my GOAT though.
Yeah, you
We
might
became
as well.
friends very quickly.
As far as like all of the UK League of Legends that I followed, you're the player that I know the most about.
Exactly, you know.
Oh, no, wait, hang on.
Don't you know about
Kadril.
Kasing?
Nah, Kadril I probably know a little bit more.
Yeah.
Singh is still doing it with Bulldog.
He's gaming.
He's gaming.
He's playing the game.
Bulldog Esports.
But I don't know. It's such a weird phrasing because it legit makes it sound like we're like 9th place in our league.
Hononsly, like whoever
I
wrote
love
Let
this,
alone
I
the
love
tier
that
league.
so far nothing has gone to Aux, and this year he's like,
It's just
Look, I'm not gonna sit
just
here. I'm
wrong.
not gonna sit here and say like I was a top tier player. You know, we're obviously in the regional league, but we're a good team in that league. You know, and we play. You know, you mentioned Kadril. He was also playing around that time. You
Yeah.
know, we there was a lot of players. Larson was playing in the UK league at that
yeah,
time.
Larson is.
Well, back then he was pretty good.
Sorry, I never get.
Never
this,
played a
I feel
competitive
like
game in his
Chronicler
life.
is
by the
like
way.
I
getting
never,
some, like,
I never get this opportunity. It's
Yeah.
always the other way around.
getting some
Larson
arena
with
stuff
both
off his
Larson
chest.
with
I
both
think.
hands tied behind his back with smoke Chronicler for sure. Whatever you say. Whatever you say, little bro.
wow. Now we know it
Never-
really got
no.
to him.
Damn. I do want to say
We
that
can't air this. They can't know what my weakness is.
Make sure this is translated. Make sure this is translated.
Next time he gets in an argument, he's just gonna post his finishes it.
by the way, I'm better than Kadril.
I never said that.
You said you were the UK GOAT, which means
That was a
you-
little facetious.
Okay.
I'm glad that like
The rats aren't coming for
this-
us.
I'm the
fine.
goat of banter, okay?
You're,
That'll
you're bothered
retain.
by the first, but I love that your thing is indeed the plata.
It's
And
a
it's fair.
70% platter, which is kind of valid, honestly.
All right.
I also like that he's not disputing any of the Pleta
Yeah,
stuff, which
yeah,
is
yeah,
why
yeah.
a lot of the fans are bothered. He's just like, oh, by the way, we came third first. So it's like, actually, things were fine, as it turns out.
Yeah, I don't dispute anything. All the platter stuff, yeah. Well, apart from the fact that they said unusually high, and they also called it mid to lower tier. That I do dispute.
Yeah.
All right.
Dion?
It's my turn. Okay. I've done a good job of not reading anything, so I haven't read it.
You'll enjoy it.
Okay. Dagon. An American esports caster and interviewer, originally a commentator for the LCS and Wild Rift Esports. That was a good time. He made his
You wanna go
first
back?
appearance to LCK audiences when he joined the broadcast team for the
No mention of
2024
Summoners
Summer
War?
Split.
What the actual butts?
There's a lot that
I feel
isn't
like
being
Butts
mentioned.
is worse than
But
fuck.
yeah, Summoners War was the first time I came to Korea. It brought me to Korea.
Yeah.
So that should
Continue, Dagon.
What?
Continue.
I want to know.
Oh my god.
I want to know who wrote this. Because they're the goat. Continue, Dagon. Look into the camera while you read it.
I saw he's got a solid, and I thought it was gonna be like voice.
Well,
That's exactly what you go to.
Keep on going, Dagon.
Look in the camera. Look in the camera as
No.
you say it.
Dagon really doesn't like being objectified.
He's got a solid, broad build,
Yes,
and
he does.
fittingly seems to enjoy sports
More
like soccer
sultry.
and golf in his free time. He occasionally posts workout photos on his social media.
Oh.
I think that's a sign you should step it up. It seems like the subcontext is they want you to more often post those weird
Yeah.
pictures.
Occasionally.
This person clearly does.
Yeah, this person is like enthusiastic.
you
for
can
more
find
of
his
those
workout photos on his social media.
We're not even halfway there.
His laugh is loud and contagious, often booming across the global analyst desk whenever something funny happens. His hair color changes frequently, usually not the typical black or brown, but bold, eye-catching shades like blue or pink.
Or both at the same time.
Most of the time, he pulls them off. Most of the time, he pulls them
Which
off
one didn't he
surprisingly
pull
well.
off?
Okay, well, I think we've
Is
established.
this actually just Tigon on NamuWiki? Straight up.
I think we've
I
established.
need to look this up. I think
I think
We
we've
need to get
established
Joanna on it.
that whoever has written this is in love with Egon. Like,
That is actually true.
100% fact.
Straight up.
They're a big
let me,
fan.
let me. His laugh is loud and contagious.
He pulls them off surprisingly well.
Yeah, right.
Again, this
I love
requires someone to be there, kind of like Ox's part where they said he was visibly shaken. How do they know it's booming across the global analyst desk?
Well, you are very loud.
I know
hear
it's
it.
true, but like, how did they know?
Because
like,
the person who wrote this is one of the audio people.
Maybe.
Because they talk about the booming.
Oh.
And so they
Oh, like a
understand
boom mic?
how the audio works.
Interesting.
And someone who have to have been there.
oh my gosh, this is exactly what is on the wiki.
You don't trust Kion?
I thought maybe something got like mistranslated or left out. That's what's on there.
I can't believe that we've been trying to be entertaining, and NamuWiki does a better job than us without even trying.
Oh, it's actually just
That's unreal.
A little bit
fantastic.
flirtatious.
Well,
you know.
NamuWiki
A
is
little
just kind of NamuWiki
For
is just
one
kind of
person in
comments.
particular?
That's basically
well,
what
some
it is.
comments
Yeah.
about Max were a tad,
Well,
somehow.
maybe they like.
He looked even
Maybe
better.
they like.
You know?
I don't know what that was about. And that was also entirely untrue.
I feel like the person who wrote this NamuWiki, they clearly had types.
Yeah.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I respect it. It's good
Somehow
hustle.
He looked
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
better.
there seems to be. See, I feel like something that was missing is there's no mention of his jawline in Chronicler's.
Yeah, that's actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
Maybe it was because they were too caught up on the mustache incident, and they were
Yeah.
like,
It
it
ruined
distracted
everything.
me
That
from
mustache was
the
so
phenomenal
bad.
jawline.
They did
Yeah.
seem in this, like, reading between the lines, they didn't seem to appreciate the mustache. That
No,
might have
it
put
was
them
bad.
off.
That was the joke.
Actually, reading the lines told us that.
Yeah.
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 Didn't need to
It
go.
wasn't.
between. Yeah, it was. It was
Also,
okay.
a lot of people, including Atlus, told me many times, and I was aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
I
did
just
it
think-
live on broadcast. I tried to convince you to shave it off on the broadcast.
Yeah. Yeah. It was funny.
work.
It was good. Good
Thought
bit.
maybe we'd get there. It was a decent bit.
If I would have kept it, I would have appreciated you to actually like that. If
Oh,
if
we
I-
would have held you
if I've-
down,
Yeah,
yeah.
no. If I'd gotten to the point where I'm like, guys, it actually looks good. I know all of you would have made sure that.
Oh,
I
wait,
wouldn't
hang
have.
on.
I think it would have been funny.
If you had have
Chronicler
said,
looks
guys,
great.
I think it looks good, I think we probably would have just convinced G-Sun to fire you at that point. That would have been
I
because
would-
then, like, your takes are just bad.
I would have been the devil on his shoulder, been like, you should twirl it. Like, this.
Monopoly Man style, something like that.
I'm trying to see it.
But anyway, those are the
Kinda see
takes
it.
from NamuWiki. We actually have we've got some Leaguepedia posts as well that you can go into. They're a little bit more accessible for all of you guys. So if you want to do some extra reading, if you guys enjoyed the episode, please Goldfish11, let us know your opinion as well. I don't think it's very
And
fair
Rain
that
Line.
we have. Yeah. Although I don't really. They were a bit.
Shout out to homie
antagonistic.
The Light.
Yeah,
I-
the light
I
as
do-
well.
Yeah.
I do want to say
Sure, check
again,
it out.
Liv Sandbox 22 greatest roster of all time. Never ride or die.
Yeah, and that's why he's no longer as much of a bro anti because Closer and Croco are together again, baby.
Bro talent.
Yeah, bro talent. exactly.
AL's making it to MSI, so I can see Kyle as well.
Yeah, that would be absolutely a thing that would happen in the future. But yes, make sure you leave your comments down below so that we can get to them. Hopefully, we can address them in the upcoming episodes as well. I'd like to make it a recurring theme that we have a conversation with you guys. So just leave your comments down below, and we'll get to them in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.